We had a moment of no connectivity. Hi. So today I'm giving a little bit of a talk about curiosity. And the whole month of January, we're going to be exploring how to use curiosity in our daily life to increase the amount of wonder and possibility and innovation as we go through our lives. So this morning in my meditation, I was reading from Thich Nhat Hanh, where he reminded me suffering is there. Wherever there is suffering, there's no denying it. But there is also wonder. There is also peace. We can take a moment freely available to us to just take a deep breath, look at the sky, look at the color blue, or if it's cloudy, look at the color green from the trees, or if you're in the Northwest, look at the color gray or the snow, the Northeast, I mean. But to take a moment and to be awed by nature, or by even just looking in the mirror and looking at the incredible being that you are, heart beating, lungs working, all the things that happen without our even having to do anything. It is amazing. So my name is Pat Beaupre Becker, and I'm a certified life coach, and I support women who want to reconnect or change their relationship with their past, who are survivors of child sexual abuse, and who want to end the struggle with food. So I actually have a guide that I have recently created. It's called 6 Steps to Change Your Past and Lose 40 Pounds. And you can click below and you will find a link, or you could go to my website and you'll find a link to pick up a copy of that guide where you can work it, and then you could even send me an email and let me know how it goes. So what I discovered last year while I was preparing for a workshop was that all of the tools that I teach, I really learned over time. It wasn't like I learned one, implemented it, and everything changed. But over the course of my life, I have slowly implemented these various tools to help me to grow. And that is what I want to do. So we're taking a whole month to look at one particular tool. So in November, we talked about awareness. Awareness changes everything. In December, we talked about connecting to our essential selves, to our families, to our communities, and to nature. And now for the month of January, we're going to talk about one of my favorite, which is curiosity. And again, it's because it opens up the doors. It really changes has changed my experience of life. I really like it. So I recently, well, not recently, actually, this is one of my favorite books. It's by Warren Berger. It's called A More Beautiful Question. And he talks about how as children, well, of course we know this, children just constantly ask questions. And they have documented that between the ages of 2 and 4, they ask a quadrillion questions. And you'd have to go to my blog to see how many zeros are after that one, because I had to look it up. So that is how we're growing. We grow massive amounts. We learn how to speak. We learn how to talk. We learn what the world is all about, all by asking questions, by copying, by absorbing. So what happens then after the age of 5, when we hit a little bit older, as we hit middle school, for some reason, children stop asking questions. Now, if your schooling was anything like mine, there are many more, I guess, more modern and schools today. But when I was in school, it was like you were in alphabetical order to seat. When you got online, you were in height order, and you had to raise your hand to ask a question. You could not even go to the bathroom unless you first waited to get acknowledgement and then permission. So the idea of questioning was just like not even in the picture. Now, many of you know that I'm a survivor of child sexual abuse, and so at the age, and I can't even fathom the depth of how we could research this, but at the age of 8, how was my curiosity going to help me? Because what I knew was what was going on was not right. I knew it felt horrible and there was a lot of shame, but there was not one word spoken. And how many survivors out there have the same experience where your whole inner world is in turmoil and yet a word is not spoken? So there's no questions, there's no curiosity. So for me as a young child, that curiosity was, I feel like it was frozen in time. And that is why today I am so in love with curiosity, because just by practicing, just by learning that my brain is the neuroplasticity, that I have options to change and that I have experienced that change, and that I experienced that change by just doing things a little bit differently, by taking risks, by being curious. So I really want to, I really hope that you will take me up on the challenge that we'll have at the end of this little bit of talk. So the other thing about curiosity, generally speaking, adults, we're very judgmental. And I can remember a time when I was very judgmental and it wasn't fun to be around me, I could tell you, because I had an opinion about everything. Prior to that, I had no opinion, but once I thought I could have an opinion, it was like, okay, get out of my way. If you did not agree with my opinion, you were just wrong. And so I really had, and along with that kind of thinking came the judgments about myself. I could never lose weight. I could never find love. I could never be successful. So all of these judgments, these negative judgments, actually were something that solidified this belief that I had about myself. And that is just not very helpful, because the one thing that we know, and that has been proven over and over scientifically, is that we change, people change. And if you look at the way things have changed over the past 20 years with the internet, it is just phenomenal, the speed with which things are changing. So curiosity has really been the innovator of all of the things that are happening today. And if you are curious about that, a more beautiful question does address that. So curiosity is actually, I think it's a skill. It's something that you have to really practice, because originally, when you go to school, it's like you have to know the answer. So being curious, you have to assume you don't know the answer. And again, that is what has been driving innovation and scientific exploration. The sense that I don't know the answer to this question, and so let me explore it. Let me acknowledge that I don't know it. One of the things that happened last year was, I know personally, I was incredibly shocked by the election. All along, I was just assuming that there was no way that Donald Trump could be elected. I just couldn't even imagine it, why we would choose someone like him to be the leader of our country. And I think the thing that came at the end of his election, when he was elected, we were all stunned. But that led me to be curious as to how it could happen. And what we discovered by a lot of journalists who were willing to open the research and look at it was, who are the people that did vote for him, and why did they vote for him? What was missing that we were just not seeing because of closed-mindedness? So curiosity can really open the whole world to what is really going on, how to look at something from someone else's point of view, and to just kind of be open. The thing that I also love about it is that I find that when I'm curious, it is actually kind of fun. It's like being a child again. It's this sense of adventure. So for me, I really love being curious and asking questions, which is why I was attracted to being a life coach, because life coaches we live with questions. We teach with questions. So being willing to question what you think, question what you believe, to really understand it. Not to say that you're going to give up everything. You will be led to decisions. You will have opinions. We do have values, but we can come to them more clearly by questioning them and not just kind of reiterating what we believe without actually understanding why we believe it or where those beliefs came from. So the other thing that, another book that I've been reading that I want to share is called The Inevitable. And it's called Understanding the 12 Technological Forces That Will Shape Your Future by Kevin Kelly. Wow, this guy is great. So he is the founder, was one of the co-founders of Wired magazine, but he talks about the future being more of perhaps what we're not wild about today. Like I know for me, whenever I go online, I have another password to remember, I have another tool to learn, another app to download, and it kind of gets very uncomfortable because I'm always in a state of being a newbie, of learning. And one of the things he says about the future, get used to it. We're always going to have another revision, another upgrade, that all of the future will definitely include that. So the more you can be comfortable with the sense of not knowing, of being new, of just being willing to be open and to learn, then you're going to be successful in the future, because that's what will be required from human beings as time goes on. So I highly recommend that book. I haven't finished it, but so far it's really been exciting. So let's say your future depends on curiosity, being comfortable with the unknown. So for that, what I want to do is challenge you to create a practice of curiosity. So we have the month of January, and I'll be talking more about questions and other things that we can look at with curiosity. But do you remember, I don't know if any of you have watched Mr. Rogers. When my daughter was young, we used to watch Mr. Rogers. And the thing that was so fascinating about that show was that he took you to, I remember, how do you make a football? Who are the people that create products? Now, I know there's a lot of technology, a lot of manufacturing is not done here, but it doesn't matter where it's done. It's like, how are things made? Do we even know? Do we know where our food comes from? Do we know what is in our food? Do we know what we're eating? So I want to challenge you to start each day with a question. For me, I start the day now with what am I aware of today that I wasn't aware of yesterday? And it's been pretty fascinating because I am reminded of things that kind of flash in my mind that are new, that I didn't realize about myself. And of course now I can't think of what they might be, but they're in my journal, and for sure that each day I realize that there's something new that I have learned, and that helps me to remember that my own curiosity about myself. I mean, I'm 63 years old and I'm still learning about myself. It's kind of amazing. So what question might you ask yourself? Another question that I got from Brendan Bouchard is, he says, what on my to-do list today can I do in a most excellent manner? How can I up my game and do it excellently? Or you can ask yourself, how can I delight my partner today? How can I come up with something that will surprise and delight them? Not to get anything back. I mean, of course, that is the problem you could face, is then you have expectations, you want something back, but just for the sense of curiosity. So that is pretty much what I wanted to tell you today. Let's develop a practice of curiosity. Let's drive everybody crazy in the month of January and ask lots of questions. Take your assumptions and just look at them, and look at children and open yourself up in the way you used to be long ago as a child. So I'll see you next week. Don't forget to grab a copy of 6 Steps to Change Your Past and Lose 40 Pounds, and we'll see you next week. Again, it's Pat Beaupre Becker, and I'll see you then.